Next question. Susan asks, is there a difference between effect, texture, and the texture in the materials palette? And there is a big difference. So first of all, let's say that we have a solid color and we will add a texture under effects, texture effect, texture. And let's make it pretty deep so we can actually see them. So as you can see here, the texture is applied to the color itself. And so it applies to it. On the other hand, the texture in the materials palette is more like a mask or a layer. It's like the difference would be a little like on here, adding the texture. It's a little bit like, you know, the stucco we used to see on walls. So you'd have paint and you use a brush to get a texture on that paint, or usually it would be a thick paint. On the other hand, using a texture from the materials palette would be here. The texture is here, but this will act like a mask. And this is what is going to show. So I'm going to change the color maybe to a different color. And this is what will be painted over my color. And this is it. Maybe that's not the best example that is obvious. You can choose a different one. Okay. So in this case, it's like I have paint and I put my sponge to make the texture. On this case, it's like I painted and I go over with a colored sponge and make little patterns on it. So that is the big difference. And if you are to use this, you can use it on a separate layer. And then you can play with the blend mode if you want. Make something interesting. Look at that. That's kind of cool. And you can also play, in this case, let's go back to red. So if I have my pattern on top, let's go back to normal. I can play with the blend mode. I can play with the opacity. I want to have more or less. And it will depend on the color, the pattern, and everything. So as you can see, Susan, it's very different. It doesn't give the same result at all. One thing that I find interesting with the texture in the materials palette is that you can change the scale and you can change the angle. On the other hand, under effects, texture, you have the depth, the scale, but you cannot rotate it. This is something I have been asking for years, why we can rotate it in the materials palette, but we cannot rotate here. And also what you will find is that it's the same images, it's the same patterns that are used for both. So why this one can't be rotated, I have no idea. Must be something with the code, I don't know. Hey there, I hope you found this information useful. If you're curious to dive deeper and explore more about PaintShop Pro, we've got a wealth of resources waiting for you in our membership area. There, you'll find in-depth classes, workshops, Q&A sessions, and much more to help you enhance your PaintShop Pro and digital scrapbooking skills. Feel free to check it out. The link is in the description below. Thanks for watching and see you in the campus.